Quick disclaimer, these discussions are intended for education and informative purposes. They are not to be used as legal advice. Welcome to the 256. I'm JD, host of the 256 Investor Podcast. This is for both the seasoned investor building a portfolio of rental properties that wants to sharpen their skills, and for the potential investor that needs to answer some questions and gain strategies to invest with confidence. We'll discuss all things investing, legal, tax planning, acquisitions, insurance, and of course, we'll discuss real-life experiences with 256 investors. Whether you live in the 256 or invest from afar, this is for you. Thanks for joining us for another episode of the 256 Investor. We have a special guest today, Tyler McKinney. Tyler, thanks for coming on. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, JD. I appreciate it.
It's good. I've got you because you're in a specialized role here in Huntsville that's a little difficult to find. You are specifically in charge of a number of Section 8 rentals.
Yes, sir.
And you've been doing this primarily for, about 2 years now?
Yeah, going on 3. But yes, sir, I've been doing about 2 years and just developing and growing and understanding the market and trying to get investors to understand what Section 8 is and how it could be beneficial to them.
Sure. Well, tell me how you got to this point. Were you born and raised here locally in Huntsville?
I actually am not. I'm from Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay.
I come to Huntsville, Alabama through schooling and through family ties. As I was telling you, I come from Kansas City, and I have a lot of family down here being Adventist. It's a big Adventist realm down here. So my grandfather went to Oakwood College at that time, now university. My mom also at Oakwood College, now university. And then I also graduated from there in 2022.
Okay, yeah. For folks who don't know, Oakwood is a local Seventh-day Adventist school.
Yes, sir.
We're not far from it where we're
No,
recording
right
right
up the
now. It's
street,
just
right.
right down the street. I always say we got Oakwood and we have Alabama A&M. Here as our two schools.
Yeah.
So it brought you down here, and then what got you into real estate?
Well, I was an intern for real estate throughout my collegiate years. So I did a lot of interning, figuring out the different sides of real estate. I didn't realize how vast real estate was until I actually started doing my research and actually looking at it's all wholesaling. As you see on Instagram, you see all these people saying, I can wholesale and flip this house and get this fat check. And it's real. It seems like fast money. You watch TV shows on HGTV and see these things. So I saw those things, but then I also dove into it, and I got into the realm of property management through Holloway and Associates, where I interned throughout my collegiate years, and they're realtors there as well. So they help people buy and sell, help people with their investments. So it was just a kind of a linear progress, just trying to understand what real estate was, and then saying, oh, I could do this property management thing. Oh, I like helping people get into new homes. So I was like, okay, this is something that I can actually do. And I just took it by the horns and did it.
Yeah, it's a learning experience. There's something new every single day.
Every day. It's always
If you're
something.
into that, then it's the business for you. Not everybody can handle that, but for those like me and you who like to wake up and it's like, oh, this is a new challenge I've
Every
never
day.
heard of or never thought I'd be presented with.
Right.
But that's fun for me. But it takes a special person. It takes a very special person to kind of do what you've done, which is deal with Section 8 properties, Section 8 homes, and people who are on the voucher program.
Right.
It's always been known as Section 8, but I think it's officially called the Housing Choice Voucher.
Yes.
The terminology was changed officially a few years ago. But how big is your company in that program, dealing with the investors and renters with the Section 8 program?
Yeah, so we're pretty big in that. At one time, Holloway and Associates was the biggest umbrella for Section 8 rentals in the Huntsville area. Now we've kind of diminished down a little bit. We manage over 500 properties, and I'll say about 45 to 50 of our properties are on Section 8 vouchers. And I believe that it is a good investment for owners that are looking to get guaranteed money, so to say. Because that's what, at the end of the day, you're looking at your bottom lines when it comes to the rental market and when you come to investing into rental property. So for those that don't know, just to break down what Section 8 is, it is a subsidized portion of the government's budget that allows people to rent houses and allows landlords to get that guaranteed rent. And what that looks like is someone will apply for a voucher. They will pay most, if not all, of the rent that is asked for that voucher, and then they will pay it to the landlord or to the property management company. Um, so yeah, we dive into that. We deal with that. We have a lot of units that are paid 100% by Section 8, or the tenants will be responsible for a small portion, maybe $200-$300 of said rent. And it's a great program for lower income families that need a place to stay. Everybody needs a place to live. So it's a great opportunity for them to get into a house. And a lot of the times you have tenants that will stay long term. So you'll have, I think on average, I'm a big statistics guy, and I deal with a lot of those things. And it's like, I've seen renters that might stay for a year, that are just cash renters. And then we have the Section 8 renters that stay for 4 to 5 years in the Huntsville area. So they want to be on this voucher. They want to, they fight to be on the voucher because it's a long, long list of people that may be low income, and they have to go through a lot of vetting processes to be on this voucher. So they want to stay. Um, and that's a very good pro for those that are looking to invest, because they're able to get that guarantee money and get a long-term tenant, because you want money and you want somebody that's going to stay and take care of your stuff.
The tenant's looking for a good landlord and a good home. And I understand that the waiting list with Huntsville Housing Authority was shut down 2 or 3 years ago because it was like
massive.
1,000 deep, and they just had to shut it down and say, we just don't have any homes in the foreseeable future for all these people. So it is, for someone who's looking for some form of real estate investing, it's an option, because again, there are a lot of people in the voucher program who are looking for a good landlord
Right.
or a good property manager, and those are not always easy to find.
Exactly.
A lot of investors think I can just get a property and put so little into it and just minimize my cost into it and then get a fabulous renter. But it doesn't really work that way. To get the great renter, you've got to provide a really good home. And I think that's worth noting. But I've been on the program for years, and some of my best renters are on the Section 8 program, and they either Section 8 pays all of their rent or most of their rent, and they've been some of my best people. I do want to get into a couple myths about Section 8 renters that most people assume, and I think the common assumption out there is that you're given a tenant from the program, and you have to take them and you have to work. No. This is the most, I don't know where this comes from, but as landlords, we have all the right in the world to screen tenants and to, I don't want to say choose, but we can turn people down if they don't meet the screening criteria.
We have the control of the vetting process. And of course, we have all our legal things, you have, especially being a realtor.
Still have to abide by fair housing.
Fair housing laws, all of those things that we still have to abide by. But we have our vetting process. I mean, if they don't cut the mustard when it comes to criminal background, or it comes to they have evictions on their record prior, things like that, we're able to still use that avenue. But Section 8, I would look at it as a double vetting process, because we ourselves as landlords are able to do that, and Section 8 also does their type of vetting process before they even give someone a voucher. So again, I believe that it can be very lucrative for those who want to invest in it. And I don't want to jump any prompts or anything, but going into the cons maybe is you have inspections that come up. And me doing property management for the last 3 years, all good property managers at least inspect their properties at least twice a year. At least twice a year. But Section 8, they're going to come out there and do their own inspection, and they're going to see what needs to be under the hood laws and under what the government is telling that needs to be done, so there can't be any peeling paint, there can't be any major damages or anything along those lines. So it could be a con as far as sometimes they might hold the landlord's feet to the fire a little harder than they hold the tenant, but it also could be a pro, because things that you let go for a long time can cause a bigger problem. So we can look at that and judge that based on what would be a good investment for yourself and those that are looking to invest.
Right. They're going to do annual inspections, which involve testing the smoke detectors, making sure the windows open and close and will fasten securely and lock. They're going to make sure the appliances work properly. These are things that we should be doing anyways, that every investor should know that these things are working in the home can actually work as a pro to them.
Exactly.
Because it's an extra independent, more or less, inspection. You have to do the things they're required. Whatever deficiencies are found have to be remedied within a certain period of time. But like you said, in addition to what the property management company is going to do anyway, it's one more set of eyes to look at things and make sure that that home is operating in peak condition. At the end of the day, we should all want that with our investments.
We should. We want to, like you said, have a good house for the tenants to live for longevity. But yeah.
Well, I'd like to look at this from a couple different angles. One is, say you have a renter who has a voucher. They've already been in the program. They're just looking for a home. And you have a home that has been on the voucher program. How do you make these two work? When you have person with a voucher meets home that's been on the program, how do you finalize that process and get a lease in place with the check coming from the housing authority?
So yes, so they will go into they will find the voucher, work with the caseworker. What I do is the property management side of things. I make sure that everything is good on the lease. So it's a 12-month lease. I will send it over to the
It has to be a minimum of 12 months.
Minimum of 12 months, yep. I will send it over to the caseworker. They will make sure that the market rent is where it's supposed to be. Most of the time, Section 8 pays out over 20 to 30% of what the market rate is. So we can set that rent at that point and allow them to say, okay, this is where their income is. This is what the breakdown is going to be. This is what I'm going to allow to be paid out by the tenant versus what Section 8 is going to be responsible for. And then we'll just get them into the process. If there's nobody waiting in line, at least for Holloway and Associates, we go in order of how we receive applications. There's no one waiting in line. We'll get them moved in. The thing about Section 8 is once they move in is when they start their payments. It's not initial, so there's no prorated. The security deposit has to be worked out amongst the tenant. It's not with Section 8. Security deposit has to be worked out with the tenant, has to be legally the maximum is 1 time the rent amount. So we're able to put that and charge the tenant that they're solely responsible for that. And then the voucher program just pays out whatever the tenant is responsible for, whatever Section 8 is responsible for the 12-month duration.
Yeah, and I want to emphasize that because I've had a lot of investors ask me, can't we double the security deposit or, hold 2 months? Legally, you cannot. Landlord tenant law states that you can only hold a maximum of 1 month's rent in a security deposit.
Yes.
And like we've mentioned already, the housing authority has no say so in whether we hold a security deposit or not. That's between the landlord or the property management company and the renter. But you can absolutely all day long still hold a security deposit. That is not waived just because you're working with a Section 8 renter.
No, that is not waived. Yes, sir. So you have to, once that voucher is completed for that duration of time, those inspections will come up. So they have those annual inspections. And if they denote anything that needs to be done, like I just got some Section 8 repairs the other day. You have to get them done within the 30-day threshold that they give you. Sometimes that 30-day threshold, you can ask for extension. I was just emailing somebody right now. Can I please have an extension? We just got it this week. But yeah, so we get those repairs done, and some of them will be resident repairs. Some of them will be owner repairs. Those owner repairs will be either the landlord or the property management company is responsible for getting those repairs done. And then the resident is responsible for their resident side. They'll come in, re-inspect, and then just continue on with the voucher. You have to send any renewal for that lease. You have to send that 60 days prior. So a lot of the times people might want to send the renewal 30 days or 15 days. You have to send it 60 days if there's going to be any rent increase and any renewal. You have to make sure you get that out to them. So they can approve it and get it over to them because that's the laws that they abide by at Section 8.
Yeah, and we should note that anything when you're dealing with the government, there are going to be some time restrictions, and you might have to go a little bit above and beyond what a property manager would normally do, and that's one of them. You got to abide by these, 60-day terms and stuff like that. It's important to note that there are going to be some time constraints involved. Taking another scenario, say you have an investor who wants to purchase a property and put it on the program. Do you go through some initial steps with the housing authority to kind of get it approved? Do you get an initial inspection before you ever place it on the market for rent?
So yeah, that's exactly what happens. First off, I want to tell anybody that's wanting to invest into Section 8 they need to do their research and make sure that this is something that's going to work for them. If you see a house that's on market and you think you can just, for lack of better terms, throw lipstick on a pig, you cannot. You need to make sure everything's functioning, make sure that smoke detectors are up to date, hardwired battery backup, carbon monoxide detectors as well need to be installed. And then you need to follow all the guidelines, because Section 8 will do that initial inspection, and you have to make sure everything is to the T before they'll even bring anyone in to go ahead and start that voucher process and start you getting paid. So yes, it's very important that you cross all your T's and dot all your I's when you're doing that process.
And it's another important note to emphasize, because I have talked firsthand with investors in other cities, some in Alabama, and I don't think it's the same. I don't think they're held to the same standard.
Yeah.
I think housing authorities in each city operates a little differently. And I've heard some crazy stories about people purchasing things and putting lipstick on a pig and bragging about, you know, how they have Section 8.
Right.
It's not the way we are held to a higher standard here in Huntsville. Thank goodness, because I don't think you or I or anybody in our business wants to have a property that we can just let go and put lipstick on a pig. At the end of the day, that's not what we're in it for.
No.
And I am thankful that the Huntsville Housing Authority will hold you to a standard and make sure that you're providing a good home for the renters.
And ultimately, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to help those that are less fortunate. That's why the whole program was invented, because we're trying to give somebody a good home where they'll take care of it, and bottom line, get us that money at the end of the day. So
yeah. Well, I think we've talked a lot about a lot of strength of the program. You've mentioned some drawbacks earlier. What are some other ones that we might want to be aware of just timing issues or things that don't move as quickly as it would if we weren't involved with the housing authority?
Right. So I want to kind of piggyback off of what you said a little earlier with the timing issues and Section 8 being different in different areas of the country. So the Huntsville Housing Authority, I think they work a little more strict when it comes to their stipulations of what may pass versus what may not. Because a lot of the times that I've just in my career have realized, and I like to be there for the inspection so I can see what they're talking about, because they'll write a report that will say front, right, center. And they'll be talking about the bathroom wall. Let's just say that hypothetically the wall paint was peeling. So I send this over to my contractor, and he's like, what in the world is front, right, center, bathroom wall? And I'm like, well, you're right. That kind of is confusing. So we will paint what we think needs to be painted, and then they'll come back and say, well, no, this is what we were talking about. So dealing with Huntsville Housing Authority, especially, you need to be on it. You need to be on the ball. You need to, if you can, get somebody out there or yourself out there to look, say, this is what they said needed to be fixed. This is what I'm about to fix. Because if you don't, you can run into a lot of issues of, well, I thought you were saying this, but it's not this. Now we're canceling the voucher. Now you're not getting paid anymore. Now you have to go through the original dance again. So I think the con when it's coming to Huntsville Housing Authority is you need to be more stringent in what you're doing.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is you can't have an out-of-state investor who purchases a property think they can run it all themselves. You need to have somebody here, boots on the ground. At the time of that inspection. Somebody needs to be present inside that home other than the tenant.
Yep, every time. And that's why I believe in Huntsville, a property manager that cares is most important. Because, like you said, out-of-state investors, they'll be like, all right, yeah, I'm throwing this on Section 8, and it's done. I'm getting paid. But they haven't and had to go through all the inspection process, had to send the contractor out 3 or 4 times. Tenant might not be at home today. Right. So they don't deal with that, but you have somebody on the ground fighting for you to get that done. And talking to Huntsville Housing Authority when things may not go the way they're supposed to.
It sounds like it may be a little bit more of a time commitment on your end.
Yes.
To work with the housing authority, but it's not going to affect the investor's time anymore.
No.
It'll affect, they'll need to pay a little bit more to fix these things that came up in the inspection, but it's not going to take more time away from them, it is what it sounds like.
Right. And again, I will continue with a little bit of the con is to think that it's just easy money. Because a lot of the time when we see a Section 8, like I said at the beginning, you're getting guaranteed money from the government. But again, with these inspections or even with your communication to Section 8, because they send out letters. Sometimes they send things snail mail. Sometimes they send things email. Sometimes they go on the housing portal. You have to you have to be invested. Again, I can't stress enough about having a good team and a good property manager on your side that's going to alleviate those communications, those repairs, alleviate all those things for you. So at the end of the day, you can sit back and just collect.
So do you have a portal as a property manager?
We do.
You have a portal, and is that where you receive the bulk of communication from the Housing Authority?
No, we still receive the bulk of our communication snail mail.
Okay, this doesn't really surprise me, and I had to ask.
Yeah. So, I mean, sometimes, the portal is good. Don't get me wrong. That's where they put a lot of like the payment information, what they paid out for the month. But yeah, most of our like failed inspections are snail mail.
So say a tenant's, the prorated amount that is paid for them changes, because it can change if they change jobs, if they get a raise at work.
Right.
It may change the amount that the Housing Authority is paying and what the tenant's paying. Is that something you get through snail mail, or do you get something in the portal that says the proration has changed?
We get that in the portal.
Okay.
A lot of when it seems like everything that comes by money.
If it has to do with money, you get it instantly. Yes. You can just log in
exactly.
And see. Okay.
But it seems as though like if it's something with repairs or something with updates coming from Section 8, snail mail.
And all payments are made by bank transfer, ACH, right?
Yep.
Okay. So they're not sending out physical checks anymore.
No physical checks anymore. No.
Okay. Well, that's important to know.
Yes, that's real important. There's no more physical checks, no more money orders or anything like that. So
okay. Yeah. So, the big strength, it sounds like, it is guaranteed money.
Yep.
But don't be fooled into thinking that you can just, like you said, lipstick on a pig and you get that guaranteed money. It takes some work.
Yep.
It does take some work, but at the end of the day, it is guaranteed money. I do know that there's, for a certain size home and bedroom and bathroom, there's a certain amount that is allocated for that home.
Yes.
And I think you hinted at that could be more than what the fair market value of a home really is. So there is also a strength and an advantage in renting out a home for more than it's technically worth with its fair market value.
Yes. So on average, across the nation, they show that Section 8 rentals rent for about 20 to 30% of over what the market rate is calling for in that area.
That's significant.
It's very significant. So again, that's going to raise your antennas as an investor and be like, yeah, I want to get in that market. And yeah, they need it wherever they need it, whether it's South Huntsville, North Huntsville, Madison, wherever it's needed at. I'm going to look at that market and dive into it. So it is important that you note that, and that when you're pricing your home, you're not underpricing yourself as well. So you want to, again, do your research, know what the market is calling for, know how much this property is going for how many bedrooms or how many bathrooms or how upgraded it is or whatever the case may be. So yeah, that's very important.
So if we determine, or we've talked about how the landlord or the property management company can still operate like they would with any other home, with any other tenant. What about when it comes to, say, a natural disaster occurs and we get a major hailstorm like we got a few months ago here in Huntsville? What if it destroys the roof of the home? Does that change anything? Say the tenant complains to the Housing Authority that I've got significant damage and there's an active leak. Does it change anything? Does it put any more pressure on you as a management company to get things fixed? Or do we still operate like we would with any other tenant? Say we have to file an insurance claim and we have to go through these long processes. Does that mean they may put a pause on the check that's coming?
I haven't experienced that in my career, but if it's a major damage like that, I want to act as fast as possible anyway, because we're opening ourselves up to lawsuits and liabilities outside of Section 8 or any entity. But personally, no, I haven't experienced that. But I will say that if they are to report it to the Housing Authority, it very well could, because of the stringent things that they do. I would like to also tell any tenant or any investor that's listening that we have no control over the scheduling of contractors. We have no control over parts being ordered. Say that a couple more times. Right. So you can't. I'm working on it. I'm getting it done. I promise you, I will follow up. I give you as much as I can. Put my foot on their throat as much as I can. But I am working as fast as I can, and they're working as fast as they can, because if it always seems like when it's 1,000 degrees outside, 2 AC units go out. Yep. And when it's 10 degrees, the heat goes out. So these people are swamped. and we're working our best, and we haven't been slumlords on any other aspect when you first moved in, so we're not starting now. So I want you all to realize that as well. But again, to answer that question, I don't think that it hadn't occurred in my career. So
Okay, just curious if there was anything different, because from my experiences with the housing authority, there's nothing that's different in any other home that I operate. It's just that they get a check for assistance to pay part or all of their rent. Like that's literally the only difference. And then, like you said, with the lease renewals, you've got to plug them in and have them involved 60 days. And there are some other constraints there. And then the annual inspection. Yeah, those are really the only differences. Everything else flows just like...
It's just like a cash renter. Just like it. I mean, you just have to be willing to deal with the snail mail, being willing to deal with the entity of the housing authority. Just, if you're willing to deal with that, by all means. I mean, I would say it's a great investment, especially someone starting out or someone trying to diversify their portfolio. I would say that it's a great move to make.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people with vouchers out there who are just looking for a good home. And I think the housing authority is always looking for good landlords and good homes.
Yep, I get calls all the time when people are calling like, is this house for rent? Yes. Well, do y'all take Section 8 vouchers? Well, unfortunately, we no longer do. But I can point you in a direction that they may. So, I mean, there's people looking. So you're not going to be on a lack of renters at all.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, Tyler, so been a lot of good information. Tell everybody how they can reach you if they want to find you.
So if you want to find me, you can go on Facebook and type me in Tyler McKinney. You can find me on Instagram at agent_McKinney. You can follow me on TikTok as well at Tyler McKinney, and I'm with Holloway and Associates, the brokerage, right off of Sparkman, right across the street from the Woody Anderson Ford. And you can find all my information and all of my online websites on all of my social media.
Well, thanks again. You're one of the few people who can really come on and talk with some experience about the Section 8 program, so I really appreciate it. For Tyler McKinney and AVO Multimedia recording this for us, I'm JD. My time's up. I thank you for yours. This podcast is proudly sponsored by 256 Realty, investors helping investors. Visit us at 256realty.net. Big thanks to our production team at AVO Multimedia Services for producing, editing, and providing the music that brings this podcast to life. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe or follow the podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, or whatever platform you choose. We'd love it if you'd leave a comment, review, and rating. It really helps us grow and continues to bring you valuable content. And of course, don't keep all this knowledge to yourself. Share this episode with a friend who's ready to level up their investment game. To catch more episodes and video content, visit our YouTube channel at 256 Investor.